Hey guys, it's Cassandra from Beads to Live By. How are you doing tonight? Or whatever time it is when you're watching later on. I always talk to you guys like you're watching live, but I realize that that's not always the case. I'm cutting myself a couple yards of thread here because we are going to make some really fun earrings tonight, and cat's out of the bag this month. We had a little misunderstanding on the timing of when the cutoffs would happen for our subscriptions. So, I mean, like everything is correct on the website now as of when you're watching this, even if you're live. But prior to that, when we were like plotting everything out, we thought that people would have like a window of time where they would be able to stop registering for August, and then like there would be kind of a week of cushion for us to prep for shipping, and then the orders would roll over starting like at the end of August for September or something like that. And instead, the orders, like you're able today, if you are watching live on August 16th, 2022, you can still order the colors that I am showing you as long as they're available, which I think there's a few subscriptions left for this month. But starting tomorrow on August 17th, and every month will be like this, you will be ordering at any time from August 17th through September 16th. You'll be ordering the September boxes, which you might see a couple of colors while I'm playing around here tonight. Hi, Rosalinda. So, so for those of you that are new here, welcome. We are doing a tutorial tonight basically about basic peyote stitch and how to make a pair of earrings with it. And if you are a subscriber to our curated collections, which are our version of the subscription box idea, then you will get all of these colors and more in your August box. And you will also get as a bonus, and we just posted this, emailed our customers tonight for the first time, that you will get a grid pattern for this very same design. So you will see exactly how to place your beads so that you can make that pattern, because this tutorial tonight is going to show you the idea of creating a basic peyote stitch chunk so that you can, real technical terms, chunk, so that you can create your own design. And we've posted lots of pictures of this as a still shot, so you could copy our grid pattern if you wanted to. But as a thank you to our subscribers to the curated collections, they will all get a little printed copy of this particular pattern. So I was really excited to be able to offer that. Had to kind of bust my butt this week to make sure and get that done. So how's everybody doing tonight? I see a few eyeballs out there hanging out. Well, I am going to start by showing you guys a section of peyote stitch, the length that I make these, and then we'll talk about the width. And I've got a little section already pre-started so that I can show you how to like do the top and the fringe. So basically you will like pause this video once you get through your start of your peyote stitch, and then once you get to the point where it's as wide as you want, then you'll play me again. And this is all, of course, in the replay. So then you can replay me or unpause me and see how to do the top of the earring. So like we'll show you how to like place your beads for that, and also talk about the fringe. Now you can use a 1G or a Sono thread. I like both of those. I don't use Nymo really anymore, but that's just like a personal preference thing. I think it's appropriate for this type of project still. And then I'm using an 8-pound Fairline. I've got 2 yards cut, but you could do probably a 6-pound with the seed beads and not have a problem. Rosalinda, that's so funny. Oh, hi, Lois. It's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, it's been forever. Lois is a local Michigan customer. At least she used to be. But I mean, she's stopped in periodically, but not as regularly. Well, it's a hard decision, Lois. I have some ideas for button videos that I'll be doing later in the coming months. So be prepared for lots of fun ideas with those. And my goal with these videos showing you guys what to do with the subscription boxes is a lot of it's things that you might have in your stash as far as types of beads, and then other things, you could like kind of pull together. So, of course, we'd love to see you get excited about our colors and types of things we're using in those curated collections, but I think there's room for other color choices and whatnot too. So, oh, here, I've got my supply list. I was just talking about it and didn't put it up for you guys. So I'm working with all size 11s, but they're different brands. They're not all the same brands. That is something that's important to note about the curated collections with the seed beads specifically, and just in general, this project. The way that ours are going together are kind of dependent on the fact that there's like different shapes of size 11 beads in there. So they're not different shapes, like there's not hex cut, they're all rounds or rocales, but they're definitely not all exactly the same. And I am just counting or trying to count and talk at the same time to make sure that I've got, you're going to start with 16 of the size 11 seed beads. So when I talk about the 16 beads, that is from top to bottom like this. And if you count, you're counting back and forth like that. So there's a lot of, like, you're working the peyote stitch back and forth this way. There's a lot of kind of conversations in the bead community about whether the 16 is 1 row, 2 rows. Like, you can kind of look at it as there's like each direction you go is a half a row. So like you go one direction, you add 8 beads, that's half of a row, and then you build back and go another direction, it's a half a row. But another tip is if you are newer to seed beads, and you can totally do this project and be newer to seed beads, I would recommend taking your thread, and you don't even have to do this with your needle, although you could do that before you put your other beads on, and just put a singular different colored size 11 bead on there so that you can see it, and then go back through it with your tail. So you're creating this loop, and it's not a knot, but it's just going to capture your bead so that you've got, I just realized my volume's up a little bit on my iPad, and it's probably causing some feedback. Hopefully that's not in your guys' end, it's just over here. I do these things later at night in the hopes of like kind of catching my West Coast people and also avoiding things like lawnmowers in the background. But I guess this time of the year, it's a nice time for people to be able to mow their lawns still. So I always worry about the noise that you guys are or aren't hearing on the back end, because I really only have so many things I can plug in before I'm like I need to be unencumbered by as few cords as possible so I can like get around my work. So we've got 2 yards of thread. I'm using 8-pound fire line. We've got a stop bead on the bottom or tail end of the thread. This is the end that's furthest away from the needle. And then I have 16 beads here, and these are size 11s. And this is one of the colors from the August 2022 curated collection. And it's kind of a pumpkin-y color, nice and vibrant. So the basic stitch that we're working with is peyote stitch. So I like to hold all of those original beads from that first strand in my non-dominant hand. And then I've got 1 size 11 seed bead, and you're gonna go through the second bead in from the end. You guys see how I'm skipping that first one? Gotta look on camera, make sure you can see what's happening. And I'm pulling my work away from the camera only because I have that 2 yards of thread, so I have to kind of pull it through. Then when you pull everything into place, this is about what you're gonna see here. And I'm glad my thread is really contrasting with my beads because I think it's really good for you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. So now we've got a second bead to add. And the bead that you're coming out of, you're going to skip the one next to it and go through the following bead. So that's all peyote stitch is, essentially, is skipping a bead and going through the next one for the rest of your life. It would feel like that if you were. Now, I would like to point out this would make the most adorable bracelet pattern for those of you that are getting the grid pattern or are copying it from a photograph. I think you could like start from like the side where we're starting now, like by the pumpkin color, and just repeat that starting at that edge. And that would have been something really fun for me to do with my some other colors. Maybe I'll do that in one of the other box colors just to show you guys what you could do with that. So we've got one more bead on there. We're skipping, not the bead we came out of, not the next bead, but the following bead, like so. And that allows, when you skip every other bead, your beads that you're adding have that little, like, it looks like a layer of bricks being added to something, which do not confuse this with brick stitch because that's done completely differently. I'm gonna work all the way to the end and then show you guys how to turn around before I do anything else. And with the way that I've been working this pattern, I am starting, the tail is at the bottom of the earring. So you'll understand a little bit more what I mean by that when I show you the finished chunk that we're gonna demo the top and the fringe on. I'm already forgetting what color beads I wanted to use on my other sample for the fringe, so that'll be fun to try to remember. And we'll also talk a little bit about following grid patterns, even though all of you might not be working with one. I mean, at one point we had shared a free blank grid of peyote stitch that you could use to like make your own patterns. I know not everybody's comfortable with that, so I'm sure there's a lot of like free things out there if you don't happen to be subscribing to our curated collections, but I really think you would enjoy it. I should put up our, there. Helps if you know what our website address is, huh? So when you've added your last bead in that row, it'll look like, you know, you have no place to go because you're coming out of that very last size 11 seed bead. So, sorry, I just got distracted because my face is a lot closer to the camera than I'm used to because I've got a little bit of a different setup going on. I was hoping to have like a better background, and now you can just see my window that's full of spider webs. So you win some, you lose some, right? So for the turnaround, which at this point I need to pull out another bead because I do have another color I'm gonna switch to. I haven't made the second sample of this color scheme yet for the matching set of earrings, so I should probably go ahead and make sure and get this right, huh? So on this side, I'll be adding another, these colors, I'm just gonna have to load some of these onto my needle just so you guys can see. Oh, it's not gonna show up on camera at all. Okay. It's this, this end edge color here, which comes across as a really pretty coppery metallic if you're looking at it in real life. And I think that the glass has a bit of a hue to it, like a kind of tealy hue, but I'm not sure. You should really watch the unboxing video if you are intrigued about these from Orchid Opal Jewelry. she did such a great job of showing the colors. So I've got one bead on my needle, and I'm coming out of that last bead from my previous row, and you're going to go through the bead that is sticking up the furthest on this side here. And that is how you do a turnaround. And this is a great way to exemplify that, because I've got a different colored bead on there. So remember that bead that's kind of off to the bottom here, right by my thumb, is the stop bead. So that's going to get pulled off at the end. So the bead we just added is that metallic one over here on the right-hand side of the screen right now. So based on my grid here, I think I've got another pumpkin-y colored one. So I guess I should show you guys. So I've got one more bead on my needle, and then you're gonna go through the next, what we're gonna call the up bead. Whoop, there we go. So I'm going through that next one that's sticking up. You skip the ones that are sunken down once you get to this point. And then that one was like a pumpkin, so it kind of doesn't stand out as much. But I think the next one's going to be another metallic one, so that'll be a little easier to see. So there's that. We've got a bead on our needle, and that's the bead we're going through. And you just move along like so until you get through the amount of rows you want to do. So there's a couple ways to count peyote stitch, and for our purposes, we're just going to go along the top and bottom. So you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I think on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the beads will not be the same along the top and the bottom because of this grid in particular, but the counts are the same on the top and the bottom. So once you see 9 beads across those two edges, and again, remember, you can do any pattern you want because the world is your oyster, then you're ready for fringe and a topper. So I'm just going to turn this tray around. Whoop. See if I can't make some of this internet magic happen by showing you guys the way this works here. So we'll bring the sample back up so you can see that sort of. Really want you to be able to see the top of it. So to get that loop centered, your thread is going to end. Ooh, look at those pretty colors. Maybe those are from another subscription month that we will be offering. So when you exit that last row, you're going to be coming out of like the very end of that little chunk of peyote stitch. So in order to get towards the middle of your work, you do want to like stitch in and out. So if you weave back and forth and kind of snake your way through peyote stitch, your thread path will be the same as when you've been working your rest of your piece, and you won't have anything that like stands out and blatantly shows as like something that was done after the fact, if that makes sense. And I honestly have to look and see. I think coming out, yep, 3 beads in on each side, because you're doing 9 across. That would make sense for centering. And then I guess, I don't know, color wise, I think I'm gonna do this like really faint blue, and then 3, 6, 7, 8. So I did 8 beads just to make a nice little arch to create the right look for this is where the ear wire is gonna go. So I've got 8 beads on my needle, and you're gonna skip from that third one on that side to You've got the third one in on the far side of the piece there. So when you pull those down, and for the sake of, again, internet magic, I'm just going to leave that as it is because I want to show you guys how to get down to the bottom and start working your fringe. If I can get my, there we go, get through this. Okay, so your thread is coming out of that. You see that bead? I mean, if I pull the loop away, then you can see what's happening. So to speed up your process here, you can actually go through a couple of beads at a time. The goal is to not skip, don't skip any beads. So your thread, if you look carefully, is sitting on like a diagonal. And I just stuck my needle through a few beads on a diagonal. And if you work like that all the way to the base, your goal is to get to like, I mean, I'm on the side. I happen to be on the side where my tail's at. That's where I'm going to be stitching to. So I would say go for it, because then you can tire your tail off while you do that. You see though, like you can go through a few beads at a time and just get that stuff out of the way. Gosh, this bead that I'm working through right now in the tube, it comes across like a little bit more like a denim, but it's such a soft like dove gray in this piece with, you know, like the darker fire line going through it, and just maybe like when it's all, like, have you ever noticed that beads can look a completely different color when they're out of the tube? They're just more individual in fashion than if they're all clumped together. And you have to assume with the glass, and these, for instance, are not opaque, so they have, you can see through them somewhat, and that means that when you layer those glass beads on top of each other and you're looking through all of those layers, you're seeing a more condensed color than when you are looking at them out on the tray. So sometimes you pour things out and put them together and you don't always love the way they look, the same way you did when you had them in the tube sitting next to each other, right? So this is where we stopped, just to show one more part of the process. I'm going to exit that bead right next to, well, it's the same bead that my tail's coming out of. And then I'm going to take the needle and the tail end of the thread, and the tail I only left like 4 to 6 inches. So we're going to tie an overhand knot there with that tail, and then that's not enough for me. We're going to do one more, cross those over and pull the tail through. And I'm pulling the tail through because you could pull the needle one through, but it's a much longer piece. So once I get this first piece of fringe on, then I will cut that tail off. But right now I've just got it tucked underneath. If you're like a knitter or a crocheter, the way you hold like your extra thread in your, like in between your fingers and in your non-dominant hand, that's kind of what I'm doing there. Again, if you're a newer person to the beading community, welcome. So once you're coming out of one of the edges of your base, we are going to string on. Now you can do any quantity, you can do any combinations of colors. I think it'd be really cute to like mix the colors that you've been using in the pattern and have like a speckled confetti fringe on the bottom. Ombre, when you blend like colors that are similar to one another, would be really beautiful. So like don't let my particular design like limit your imagination per se. Now I just need to double check. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So for the sake of our subscribers, I am using 12 of this first color on the fringe. And again, it might change in length slightly depending on which of the beads you end up using in which places, but minutely, not enough to like ruin your design. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of the second color. Oh, that was the real question. So I've got 12 of that first color on there. I think I know what I want to use for the second color. And that would be 9. And then the last color, I think I just have 5. So there's 3 colors in my fringe that I'm working with. I got to get these all on here so I can make sure I like the looks of it. All right, so 12, 9, and 5. Yeah, don't love that. I'm doing like similar things to what I did in the sample as far as the patterning of the colors, but just not loving it. But for the sake of again internet magic, I'll stick with it for now. So there's 12 of that color, 9 of that color, and 5 of that color, and then there's one more bead at the end. This is the stop bead, and in the sample I used that second color at the end again. That metallic one I thought looked really good. So we've got one bead on our needle, and we're going to go back through all of the other beads towards the earring. And I would do this in sections, so like whatever your needle fits through easily is what I recommend. Your comfort and enjoyment is the main goal here, so don't push yourself to do things that don't come naturally when it comes to the beads. Let them guide you. Feel a little bit like Bob Ross just then. Is anybody else getting some Bob Ross vibes? Maybe I should go get a perm or something. So we're gonna come up through the last of the beads in the fringe, and then you go back up through that same bead in your stitching that you started from, that you came out of. So you go through that one. And remember, you want this to lay somewhat naturally, so don't yank on your fringe too much. Now, after you come out towards the earring through, now remember, this is the tail, so ignore that. We're coming out of that bead there. That's the needle thread. We're gonna go back downward towards the fringe section out of that second bead. So each bead along the edge of the bottom of the earring is going to get a piece of fringe. And again, I'm not totally wild about, I like the colors and the grid. I don't love the way the colors are working. I think I should go with my original idea for that one, but we'll figure that out. So once you get all of your fringe on, you will tie off, like you'll end up at the earring again when you string that last piece of fringe and get through that second pass of it. And then you can weave your way back through the peyote stitches a little bit and tie a half hitch knot, which we've done in lots of other videos. I've got a video on YouTube here that's specifically showing you how to do that if you need a refresher. But I have faith in you. You guys can do it. And then for those of you that have signed up for the curated collections, I will be mailing those over the next 2 days or so. And I cannot wait for you to get your exciting goodies in the mail. From here on out, we will not share the colors as much ahead of time. This is like supposed to be a surprise for you, but I kind of thought that the cutoffs were going to happen on like the 10th or 11th of the month. That was something that I was not understanding properly about the way I had my app set up for the subscriptions. So now we know. And we really appreciate you joining us here. If you are here visiting and haven't subscribed, please do so. If you enjoy the things you're seeing here, you'll get notified more easily that way. And oh, sorry, Lois, I just saw your question. It's 8-pound fire line. Let me go back to there. You can see the supply list there. So you can use 1G Sono 6-pound fire line. I don't recommend, like, we love our wildfire. You guys know, if you've watched any of our videos, we use a lot of wildfire, and I would not recommend 10-pound anything for this project because you are getting the minimal amount of drape that you want from this weight of thread. Anything heavier and you're gonna see like a stiffness that's just not attractive in an earring. So there's that. But if you guys are on Facebook and enjoy sharing what you're working on, I would love to see your projects as you get them done. You can join us in our private group called Beads in Progress. And that's just like verbatim what you would type in your search on Facebook. And then it'll show like me, Cassandra Spicer, or Beads to Live By as an administrator. If you're trying to figure out if you're in the right group, it'll ask you questions about like why you're there. I think just one question that you have to answer yes or no to, maybe, just to filter out the spam. So definitely, if you are on Facebook, join us there. And if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to shoot me an email at info@beadstoliveby.com. So again, if you're looking for supplies or these exciting new subscription options or opportunities, you can head on over to the website, and they should be front and center right now. So I can't wait to see what you guys do with this. I can't wait to send these goodies out in the mail this week. It's been a long time coming, so I look forward to hearing what you guys think and getting to show you the future colors that are getting put together for the next 6 months or more of subscribers. So I will talk to you guys soon. If you have questions, remember, you can always reach out. And I hope you've enjoyed your time on our Beads to Live By YouTube channel. Take care. Bye.